Hey Bookends! Welcome to this week's 10-minute book review. I'm 10. So today's book review is going to be on The Builders by Daniel Polansky. His name actually is oddly similar to my last name. Not the same, but oddly similar. Anyway, jumping right in, we like to start all of our videos, or all of our reviews I should say, with a star point, as in out of 10 stars, how many stars did this particular book garner. We also like to give it a rating, as in if this was rated, if this was a movie or a TV show, would it be rated PG-13, R, like what would it be rated? So, out of 10 stars, this book is a 10 out of 10. I love anipomorphic books. Not everybody does it right. So this was 10 out of 10. And for a rating, this would be a PG, you know, there's some parts that are PG-13, some parts that would be rated R, so it depends on how you look on it. We're gonna go over it. So, there is a mouse by the name of Captain. First of all, I love mice. Well, anipomorphic mice. I don't want mice in my house, and I don't want a pet mouse. Anipomorphic mice. So my son is named after a warrior mouse from Brian Jakes, from his Redwall series. So I love mice. Anyway, anipomorphic mice, like Basil of Baker Street, or Martin the Warrior, you know, or Despero, like that. So the captain is getting his old ragtag team together. And there are a lot of names, so we're not gonna go through all of them. But one thing I thought was interesting is that one of them, Bonsoir, he likes fat bottom squirrels, and he is a stout. So there's a lot of interspecies mixing. It doesn't mention what the result of that interspecies mixing is, but yeah, there's some interspecies mixing, and he likes big bottom squirrels. Yeah. So he's a Frenchman, and or French stout, and basically, okay, each one of these animals has their own specialty, their own thing that they can do. So kind of imagine Ocean's 11, is it? I think Ocean's 11. Kind of imagine Ocean's 11 or The Gilded Wolves, or something where there are a couple of people, 6 to 8 different people who each have a particular specialty and who are all in a group. That's what this is. So the ones who stuck out to me were Bonsoir, he is French. Of course, the captain, who is a mouse. Elf, who is a owl, who was in love with a rattlesnake who loved her back but betrayed her and betrayed everyone. And who else do I remember? I think I'm saying her name wrong, but Boudica? I think Boudica. She's a possum who's a sharpshooter, and Barley, who is a badger who's really strong and knows how to use a Gatling gun. And I'm sorry about the music, guys. It's a holiday weekend, so this is gonna be my life until like 2:30 in the morning. But yes, so they're all getting together to overthrow a tyrant, basically, who is a skunk. So the kingdom is ruled by a toad, and the skunk keeps the toad drugged by the toad's own willing, you know, by the toad's own will. It's not forcing it to stay drugged. It'd rather stay drugged so that the skunk can rule the kingdom for him and make sure he has as much opium and women, well, female animals as he can get. Because yeah, this is that kind of book. If you like, so just to let you know, this book is not that big, so I can't go into too much detail without giving spoilers, so I'm not going to do a spoiler review, because I really want you to read it if you're into this kind of book. But if you're into Brian Jakes, into his Redwall series, you're really going to love this. It has about the same level of violence. Slightly more, only slightly more. But it's not to a heavy degree. So you're not going to have, like, if you're like me and you're not really into violent things, you're not going to wake up having nightmares. Or you're not going to like, oh my god, no! That's not going to happen. I don't really like violence. And this wasn't violence heavy. A lot of stuff happened, granted, but it wasn't violence heavy. The way the author wrote this book was amazing. I say that because this is a short book with a lot of characters doing a lot of things. And some of these characters are only introduced for a chapter and die in that same chapter. But the way that he introduces the creature, you feel like you know this creature. To give you an example, there are these Weasel sisters, Angie, Bessie, and I think Cynthia. And you meet them quickly, but he gives a great description of them. And they're dead within the next chapter. But you felt like you knew these weasels before they die. Like, you didn't feel like they were an auxiliary character. You got to know them. There is another creature. I forgot what kind of creature it was, but it was a conductor. And he went into how he started off as a janitor's assistant, then a janitor, then assistant conductor, and then, no, assistant ticket taker, and then ticket taker, and then conductor. So you got to know this creature. He even went into the creature's mindset of how it thought and how it felt, and it was dead within the same chapter, and yet you felt like you already knew them. So it's a short book, but the writer had a writing style that made you feel like you knew the characters. Not exactly invested in them, because I won't say I was invested in any of these characters who died within a chapter. Like the Weasel sisters, I didn't feel bad for their deaths, but I did feel like I knew them before they died. And for any of the characters that I knew who ended up dying later on in the book, I felt a degree of sadness for them, but their deaths weren't described in such a way that if I was a younger reader, like let's just say if I was 13, I wouldn't have been devastated. So it was done with just the right amount of impact and just the right amount of detail was given for this short book to turn into an instant favorite for me. So this is going right with the rest of my Redwall books. My only sadness is that it doesn't appear as though there is a second book. This is just it. I would even take a prequel in all honesty, and I hate prequels. I hate prequels. But I would take a prequel to this if one was available to see what happened between the Toad brothers who were ruling the kingdom, and how did the captain, who was the mouse, and Mephetic, who is the skunk, fall out. And you know, I would have loved to see all of that. Not in this book, because I understand why this book is the length that it is, and so everything can't be in it. But I would even take a prequel, and I hate prequels. So we would highly recommend this book to anyone who enjoys anthropomorphic stories, or who enjoys stories that contain a lot of action but not too graphic a detail. There are graphic parts. That's what I said about the rated R. Okay, so there is one part where a armadillo gets shot in the stomach by his own rat, like his own rat henchman. It was done by accident, and he goes to drink liquor before he dies, and it comes out of his stomach. It's not heavily described. It's more so it's just saying that this is happening, not that, you know, you're getting this full mental picture of it. And so I don't know if you would say, if this was a movie, I don't think this would be shown, especially since it's anthropomorphic. It wouldn't be geared towards adults, so I doubt that part of it would be shown. So I'm gonna lean on that PG-13. Great book though, and I'd love to see more from this author in the way of anthropomorphic books. Looks like this is the only anthropomorphic book that he has written, from what I can see, so I would love to see more like this. But that has been this review. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Bye, Bookends!